You mapped out 50 stakeholders on your project and thought you were safe. The technical team worked for months, and development is 100% complete. But because you missed one single VP of compliance on your stakeholder register, the launch is frozen indefinitely, and that $2M deployment is completely dead. You thought you were managing the project, but you were actually just managing a list of tasks while a bomb was ticking. I am PM Panda, 25 years as a PMP. I have run construction to software, and I have watched good managers crash projects because they tracked the wrong number. You have to leverage the Stakeholder Performance Domain to actively identify and prioritize engagement before hidden stakeholders destroy your baseline. This is not about being liked or being a people person. This is about protecting the financial integrity of your project from the people who have the power to kill it. Effective stakeholder identification is an iterative process, meaning it never stops until the project is closed. You cannot just list your friends or the people who show up to the kickoff meeting. You must actively hunt for the people who want to kill your project or those who simply do not know you exist yet. If you are not continuously updating that register, you are working with an expired map while the terrain is changing under your feet. Not all voices are equal in project management, and trying to please everyone is a fast track to failure. You must use data representation like a power and interest grid or the salience model to rank every person on your list. Your job is to protect your limited time by focusing on the high power and high interest players. If someone has the authority to stop your funding, they deserve more than a generic update. Here is a hard truth after 2 decades in the trenches. Sending a weekly status report is not managing engagement. Sending information is just communication, which is passive. Managing engagement involves negotiating, resolving conflict, and fostering actual support. At 5:40, I will show you the exact line item that caused this $2M disaster because the manager confused an email blast with actual stakeholder buy-in. Let us look at a real-worked example of an international offshore wind farm project. The project manager builds a solid register of 50 stakeholders but makes a fatal mistake. They group the Environmental Regulatory Board as low interest and only send them passive email updates. They treated a high-power entity like a background character. This lack of engagement is where the math starts to turn ugly for the entire team. The project baseline planned value for this phase is $2,000. Because the regulatory board was not actively managed, they reject the environmental permit at month 6. The team is forced to halt all work immediately. Even though you had the budget, the work cannot proceed. This is how a single missing signature from a neglected stakeholder manifests as a complete financial collapse on your performance reports. Now we look at the earned value metrics. The planned value was $2,000, but the earned value halts at $1,500 because work stopped. To find the schedule variance, we use the formula SV enters EV, PV dollars. That leaves us with $1,500 minus $2,000, which equals a catastrophic negative $500,000. Your project is now bleeding cash and is mathematically failing because you ignored a person, not a task. In my experience, unmanaged stakeholders always break the financial baseline. If the project manager had used a stakeholder engagement assessment matrix to move that board from neutral to supportive, the baseline would be intact. You need to know where they stand before the crisis hits. If you wait until the permit is rejected to talk to the regulator, you have already lost the $500,000 and potentially your reputation. Here is what most people get wrong after 25 years of watching this. First, they treat the stakeholder register as a static document. They fill it out once during initiation and never look at it again as new opponents emerge. Second, they confuse communication with engagement. They assume that just because an email was sent and not bounced back, the stakeholder is actually supportive and ready to sign off. For your professional certification exams, do not fall into the trap of confusing manage communications with manage stakeholder engagement. Managing communications is about distributing the information and keeping the pipes clean. Managing stakeholder engagement is the messy work of working with people to meet their expectations and resolve issues. The exam will test if you know the difference between a PDF and a person. To keep your projects alive, keep your stakeholder identification iterative and ongoing. Prioritize your focus using the power and interest grid so you do not waste energy on the wrong people. Track engagement levels continuously to protect your project baselines from sudden stops. If you do not manage the people, the numbers will eventually reflect your negligence. Don't let a missing signature be the reason your career stalls. Open your stakeholder register today and verify that your most powerful project opponent has a documented engagement strategy. If you do not know who your opponent is, you have not finished the register. If this breakdown helped, hit like so I know to make more. Subscribe if you want practitioner lessons every week. Now go check your WBS and ensure your stakeholder activities are actually in the plan.